Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
Which brings me back to the vehicle. What if the vehicle couldn't stop because of the malfunction?
Objection, fact, not in evidence.
What if the driver of the vehicle was unable to stop the vehicle?
I'm sorry. Just need a second.
I can't speak for anyone else, but me, myself, I believe in Jesus Christ. It's a little emotional. I apologize for the long pause. It's been suffering on both sides. A lot of lives were changed that day, mine included.
Absolutely no self-awareness or accountability to be found in the room anywhere. Welcome back to the damn sofa, everybody. My name is Paul, and that is the sofa, and on the sofa are both of our Roscoes, my little Chihuahua and his bear companion, to keep him nice and cuddly-wuddly throughout all this. Today we're going to be talking about Daryl Brooks, specifically about his opening and closing statements, and the unusual tactics that he used during them. As always, thank you to everybody for making the Sofa Squad possible. It would not be here without you. And also, let's make a little bit of room over there, Mr. Roscoe and Teddy Bear, for today's sponsor. Halloween is my favorite time of year, but unfortunately, it's not one of our dog's favorite times. Trick-or-treaters are knocking on the doors, friends are coming over for scary movie get-togethers, and that all adds up to a really stressful moment for Roscoe and Bailey. But Cradle has been here to help. Cradle is a dog supplement company focused on helping all dogs live a stress-free life. Their easy to use, easy to love natural calming products are a must-have items for Halloween night and many other evenings. Cradle products are going to help the entire family enjoy all of the fall festivities. Cradle offers innovative product forms to solve for Halloween stress. Cradle's innovative Botanitech blend of calming ingredients is perfect for dogs of all breeds and sizes. They offer multiple easy-to-use, pet-friendly solutions for Halloween, including chews, bliss bars, chillers, the all-day calming bone, and so much more. So you can pick from a variety to find the one your dog likes best. Bailey loves the all-day chew bone, and Roscoe loves the little chewables. So Cradle recommends daily use to achieve the best results. If you give Cradle to your dog daily in the days leading up to events like Halloween or even 4th of July, it sets a calm foundation. Cradle is formulated to calm your dog quickly, but consistency is the key. Cradle's available at retailers nationwide. You can shop for Cradle products today in person at your local Walmart, your local pet store, or you can check them out online at Amazon and Chewy.com. Cradle makes the quality promise. Cradle's patent-pending Botanitech formulation is the backbone of all their products. Botanitech combines broad-spectrum CBD with proven, pure, human-grade ingredients from some of the best places on earth, with natural flavoring and no artificial colors. CBD has been shown to have a variety of health and wellness benefits in our four-legged friends. Cradle products work naturally with a canine endocannabinoid system to calm your dog safely and quickly from the inside out. Now, if y'all follow me, you know that Roscoe and Bailey get super stressed out on events like Halloween, 4th of July, big gatherings, basically anything. They're senior dogs. They get a little bit sketched out, and that's okay. We still love them to death. Now, Roscoe, as you know, he gets major separation anxiety, and it keeps getting worse. But we've been doing what Cradle said. We've been doing the consistency thing, and we really have noticed a difference. So go ahead and give it a shot. For 20% off your order, go to cradlemypet.com/reportinglive and use promo code reportinglive, or check them out at various in-store and online retailers. For 20% off your order, go to cradlemypet.com/reportinglive and use promo code reportinglive, or check them out at various in-store and online retailers. All right, everybody, so be sure and check them out. All the links are down in the description, as well as links to my other channels and all that fun stuff. Let's go ahead and jump on in.
Obviously, I don't have any rehearsed or well-prepared speech, so I'm just going to speak from the heart.
That's where it all goes wrong, okay? He's going to speak from the heart. I would argue to say that there might not possibly be one in him.
I would just like to first say that I want to bring to remembrance something I think everyone in this room has been taught pretty much as far back as we can remember, is that there's always two sides to every story.
I mean, my God, he goes in these narcissistic lesson planning situations where he wants to school the jury on something, right? And he panders to the side of like almost what your parents instilled in you and all this kind of stuff. Never considering the fact that he is clearly without most of these things that he expects from everybody else.
And for so long now, roughly a year, there's only truly been one side told of this story. And I've sat back and watched from countless narratives that's been put out there, the way this incident has been portrayed at times, and finally everyone getting a chance to get the full story.
Now he talks about this full story and both sides and all this kind of stuff. Like there's some huge, unearthed information about his side of the story, which he will get to here in a little bit, and it is jaw-dropping. But again, if you've been watching this case, then you'll know he does this all the time. He has absolutely no self-awareness that there are numerous victims in this case, many of whom he took their lives, he injured, and obviously scarred them for life, right? If they survive that kind of a thing. There's absolutely no remorse. There's absolutely no self-awareness or taking the temperature in the room, if you will. Everything that he does, he seems to build up to be able to pivot it back around to him. So it's like when he talks about the victims and stuff, it's only just to build it back up to, look at me, I am the real victim too.
You won't hear me try to argue facts.
We've literally listened to that for 3.5 weeks now.
The fact is, this incident was tragic. Very tragic. That's not lost on me. Facts are that there's still a lot of people healing. A lot of families healing. On both sides.
Cannot roll my eyes hard enough. See, he's doing it again, where he's talking about this is tragic. And already if you listen to his vocabulary, the language he's choosing to use, it's very much this distancing language from the event, because he's also trying to align himself with, this was not, pre-planned, this was not intentional, this was an accident, that type of a thing. Like it wasn't, premeditated, basically, you know what I mean? Or he did it with intentions to do this type of stuff. And then of course, it's like people like him, they can't miss a chance to be a victim. And so he always has to slide in. People are healing on both sides. And he feels like, I'm guessing, I don't know, but it's just from what I've seen, it's almost like he feels like my healing, my family's situation is just as important as the countless victims. And right, wrong, or indifferent, this ain't the place to be playing that song, okay?
And when I'm confident that the evidence will show, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. When I'm confident that the evidence will show, is that this incident was not planned. This incident was not intentional. And this incident was never even thought about.
Wants to mow down a Christmas parade, then get up here talking about, give me a minute, I'm getting emotional. Again, now you heard him say at the end of that, it wasn't planned, this wasn't intentional, this was never thought about, that kind of a thing. There is no telling what this man has done his entire life that he got away with when he goes into one of these narcissistic rages. We've seen the photographic evidence of his past relationships and the women in his life, what he's done to them. Again, who knows what he's done to people who, there was no justice for them or it didn't get found out. Who knows how many victims are in this man's trail.
It's easy to I'm sorry. Just need a second.
Now, this is the part of zero self-awareness that I'm talking about, because when I just watched that, I literally am like, oh my god, this is painful, the embarrassment is horrifying. But he just does it like so normal, like it's very performative. Like you're up here watching someone perform this entire time, and the performance is like nails on a chalkboard. It is so cringy, it is so embarrassing.
It's easy to look at the magnitude of something like this and form opinions.
You think? I mean, that's the thing. He talks like, you know, he accidentally mowed a thing of flowers down in the middle of the town square by accident. I mean, you're just like, take the temperature, bro. Look at what you did. It's like completely downplaying it at every turn he gets, and I'm like, you know, and I feel stupid even saying, are you crazy? Clearly, he ain't sitting on the rocker all the way.
I think it's easy to disregard a lot of factors.
How can we do that? The factors he's talking about are the factors that he feels will make him look innocent in this. He is so pressed about that, and it's like the evidence from start to finish, it's like, dude, you're on camera doing this. You have numerous eyewitnesses, cops, numerous people getting out there talking about how it looked like you were getting pleasure out of this. I mean, the fact that he decided to go to trial, which clearly was just like a last hurrah to try and victimize people, to be heard, to be seen. But again, the fact that he even has gone through all the way with this just shows what we're dealing with.
There's been a lot of suffering involved in this incident. A lot. Obviously, with the families, with the community, and even the alleged defendant's family as well. There's been a lot of suffering.
We weren't going to get out of these damn statements without another alleged defendant. I mean, and again, you see how he does. He's building all this up to come back around to the alleged defendant's family. They've been suffering too, and all this kind of stuff, which again, I can't imagine this has been an easy ride for them either. Number one, being related to this man. Number two, being put through what he's put the town through. All that notoriety that comes with that, right? This isn't the place to talk about that. Okay, it's at all. Like, this is just like common sense 101.
I just want you to keep in mind everything that will be presented in its totality. Keep in mind. The power that you have.
Oh, trust me, they know. And I imagine that they are sitting back very patiently waiting to use said power.
And what I believe is when it's time for you to make your decision, all of you, I believe that, and I pray that it's the right decision.
Now, of course, no one will know now they made the right decision, right? The groveling and weeping is like too much. I don't know what he thought he was doing up here, but you know he thought he was doing something.
There's been a lot of words thrown out there about the alleged. A lot of speculation, a lot of ridicule. Words like demon. Words like monster.
Yeah, monster and demon are two literal words that come to my mind when I think of him, like right off the rip, right? But look at how he's sitting here again with this like a victim, trying to make himself the victim, you know, and talking about like, oh, there's been all this stuff said about me, the alleged defendant, you know, a lot of ridicule and all this. I'm like, dude, look at yourself for 5 seconds every day in court. How would you not think that you're not going to get ridiculed, right? But I would argue that he loves every second of that attention.
I know a lot of the time I've been before you see me with this mask on. I've had my reasons for that. But I feel now is the time to, it's important that you see me for who I am. No mask for who I am. I think this is the moment for that.
Again, can't roll my eyes hard enough. Y'all, I thought he was going to start busting out into a damn cover of Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror up in here. I was like, if he starts singing, Children Are the Future, when he used some damn Michael Jackson here, I am done, okay? And it literally made me think with him, I was like, has he been wearing that mask just to build up to this moment? Like, that's how off the rocker he is. Like, I was like, that's a possibility. Like, he had this great, like, you know what? I'm going to say this during opening statements, so I'll wear this mask the whole time and then make this, like, really intelligent sounding argument about, here's me unmasked. I'm going to make a change. And I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
And do we have their writing materials available? All right. Thank you. Mr. Brooks, you ready to call your first, would be your second witness, actually.
I love how everybody, it's like, this is just where we're at today with Mr. Brooks at this time, right? He's weeping, but we're moving on. Like, it doesn't even faze anybody in the courtroom at this point, right? And he's like trying to have this moment of like, oh my goodness, I'm a weeping willow over here. You know, and it's just, it ain't happening. Now, let's start looking at some clips from the closing arguments, which are a little bit of a far cry from the same energy that we just saw.
First off, I'd just like to start by letting you guys know that it's a lot of information that you guys should be privy to, I believe. And one thing that I believe that you have not been privy to is the truth of your rights and your duties, being the jury. The fact that you and you alone have the power.
Now notice how in this he has a little bit more of like an edge to him, which we'll see come out even more. But again, he's going to the jury. Y'all have this power. There's information that you need to know, and blah, 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 blah. And this is where it's going to get interesting. So let's keep watching.
Not well-prepared DAs with well-prepared and clearly rehearsed speeches and exhibits and a lot of theatrics. Frankly, not the judge. You and you alone have the power. You and you alone decide what is truth and what isn't truth. You should be informed that you have the power to nullify any law that you don't agree with.
Objection, move to strike misstatement.
Sustain.
Objection.
I will strike from the record the last statement made by the defendant. The jury will disregard it.
Which is clearly what I've been saying.
Now here he's going to start to go off in this little rant you see where he's trying to tell the jury they can just nullify laws, right? This is where I'm just like, dude, where did you think this was going to go? Like, he's so ignorant of the law, right? And like just making stuff up as he goes. Now, one thing he did mention in this clip is where he's like, I don't have this like well-prepared speech and all this kind of stuff and rehearsed and blah, 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 blah. And granted, we see this. This is what, I mean, this is what state does. This is usually what defense people do, right? They do have well-prepared speeches because it makes a difference.
I don't have a well-prepared or rehearsed speech. I didn't look in the mirror and say certain points to myself over and over again to make sure I have them right or anything like that. I've chosen to speak from the heart.
Again, 100%. There were aspects of this that he was sitting looking at his little whatever version of a mirror they have in their cell, rehearsing it. The fact that he says that tells me all I need to know.
What you won't hear me do is argue facts. And the reason you won't hear me argue facts is because I believe that it takes away from what should be recognized. The tragedy of this event. It should be recognized. Trying to argue facts of this, facts of that, I'm not going to waste your time doing that.
Notice how he gaslights everything, where he's like, I'm not going to argue facts, which is what he's done this whole time. And then he tries to shame and gaslight. That just takes away from the real tragedy of the event. Never once considering that he is the cause of the tragedy, number one. And number two, that his antics have done just that.
It's hard to keep everything together emotionally. And honestly, I don't believe that I have any more tears left. It's been a hard year. For the families, mostly. And that should not be lost on anyone. It shouldn't be taken away. I said it before and I'll say it again. It's a lot of people that are healing, that are attempting to heal. That opens the door to talk about forgiveness for a little bit. With every healing process, there comes a forgiving process. It's not an easy thing for anyone.
Again, he gaslights the whole damn courtroom talking about, this has been a hard year, mostly for the families. Okay, Daryl. And then he goes into he's going to school the jury on forgiving. Again, have we seen any resemblance of him having done this with anyone in his life? Absolutely not. But just like people with these personality disorders, they expect everyone around them to do this except for him.
What you've been hearing from the prosecution, and not to take anything away from them, but let's call it what it is. You've been hearing a lot of rerun. Same things over and over and over. No different than when you turn on the radio and you first hear that song that you don't like when you first hear it, but they play it so much that eventually you start saying the words to yourself before you even realize it. And then you sit and you go, I hate that song. Why am I singing it? That's what's been happening. Rerun. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Attempting to make things stick in your head that simply aren't true.
He has literally sat here and done all of this stuff, this entire trial, and now he has the gall to get up here and say this about the prosecution. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, there's zero self-awareness. Zero self-awareness. Like, aggressively no self-awareness.
I myself in my own life have had to do a lot of healing. As a man with children myself, I find it hard to believe that anyone who's really had conversations with me, spent time around me, would think for 1 second that this is an intentional act.
Now he's going to bring up his children, which you already have heard the evidence if you've been watching this case. Yeah, this man wasn't making Father of the Year, okay? He's going to slide that in there thinking he's done something, but then also talk about the intention part of this. Anyone that knows me, we've heard from people that know you. And another thing that is important in this case is not only who we've heard from, but who we have not heard from, okay? And so when you watch these cases and you see these people who've done these horrible things and they can't get anybody up there to talk in their behalf, stuff like that, speaks volumes.
The vehicle in question, make and model of 2010 Ford Escape. The vehicle in question, actually 2008, 2009, and 2010 of that model was in fact recalled.
Objection, misstatement of the facts, facts not in evidence.
Was in
Improper
fact-
argument, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Was in fact recalled. Was in fact a class action lawsuit against Ford
Objection,
for those
facts not in
model
evidence,
for
Your
those
Honor.
model vehicles.
Sustained. The jury will disregard.
Information that you should have been privy to, that you weren't allowed to be privy to. Why? I don't know. That information, malfunctioning throttle bodies,
Mr. Brooks, move out.
it's information that you should have been privy to. Vehicles that malfunction and accelerate not being able to be stopped.
Objection, that is.
It's
completely
information-
inaccurate,
it's
Your Honor.
information-
There's an objection. Hold on.
Strike.
Go ahead.
Move to strike statements by Mr.
Sorry for the
Brooks.
interruption.
They are facts not in evidence, Your Honor, and it's a complete misstatement.
Now this one, I was like, oh my God, this is where he's trying to bring up this whole thing about the Ford. You already heard that they were like, this hasn't been entered into evidence. This is, the misstatement, all this kind of stuff. Even during his closings, he's just showing who he really is, right? By throwing this stuff in there and he wants to interrupt. And this is him being on his good behavior, right? We've already seen what he's like in other moments of getting thrown out, doing all this crazy stuff, building, forts and stuff like that. But the fact that he's trying to slide this information in, because there's the whole thing of you can't unring a bell. She can sit here all day long and sit here and say, oh, jury strike this information. He knows what he's doing though with stuff like this, and you can't unring a bell once it's been wrong, right? And so that's what he's hoping to do here. Now, again, at the time that you're watching this, we already know the verdict, so clearly they didn't bite.
DA makes references to blocks of no one being injured, but then says it's intentional. You add that up with the supposed rage, the supposed intent to harm and kill, and it doesn't kick in until well within blocks. And maybe it's just me, but I would think if I was characterizing someone with this intent to kill and this rage and this anger, then why weren't people immediately harmed? Why would someone with intent to kill and rage try to alert people of their presence, repeatedly honk their horn? You heard a detective, if you recall, testify that the vehicle that he observed was not only honking his horn, but was not speeding. So where does this rage kick in? Where does this insatiable intent to kill kick in? They speak as someone who's known someone for years.
Now again, main takeaways here is this whole intent thing. Clearly, we know that he was hoping to, get the jury to side with it. This was not intentional, not this. I was honking the horn, I was doing this, and trying to go with this angle on things. Clearly, there's going to be some form of, legal beneficiary to him if they can prove, or if he could have proved that it was not intentional. However, I don't care if you're trying to say the car malfunction or that this was not intentional. The evidence speaks for itself, and it screams loud and clear that you used this car as a battering ram and mowed innocent people down after attempting to do the same to your ex-girlfriend, ex-wife. I can't remember right now what she is or was to him. There's no getting out of it, right? The evidence, it's too big. Maybe if he had kept attorneys on his case, they could have done this, but again, I seriously doubt it, because there's too much evidence that's too stacked up against him. But you see also in the way he's talking, the way he's delivering these words, this seething rage beneath him. So it's funny that he's trying to sit here and talk about, I don't have this rage, I don't have all this, but you can just see it simmering.
So I go back to trying to wrap my head around everything that's happened in the last year. Praying for those families, praying for the people that tragically lost their life, because that should not be lost either. The fact that there was lives lost, and all the emphasis has been put on the alleged defendant. And the people have been disregarded. Makes me wonder, does the DA even care about those people?
Now this part is truly disgusting, because again, he's gaslighting the scenario, talking about the attention being on him, and then he's like, does the DA care about these victims? I mean, are you serious? Like, why he even thought that was a good idea to get up there. But I've said this about most anything that's come out of his mouth this entire trial, right? It's all very poorly done and in very bad taste.
I try every day to make sure that I acknowledge him. That's why every time I step in this courtroom, I have my Bible with me everywhere I go. I even read it on breaks, recesses. This is not something that started at the beginning of this incident. This is something that has been instilled in me since I came out of the womb.
I would argue that it's probably nothing more than a prop. I mean, he has had that with him holding it up. He has tried every game in the book, right? Crying, I found God, this and the other. He's tried it all during this case, and ain't none of it working.
Don't let this decision weigh on you after it's over. Hopefully we got a long lot of living ahead of us. Lord willing. Don't look back and kick yourself in the behind.
So he took life from so many, but he's hoping that they all have like these long living lives or whatever. And again, gaslighting and shaming the jury, don't have this weighing on your shoulders, so therefore you should set me free or find me, not guilty of the lesser things or whatever. Just the tactics are disgusting, and my heart goes out to the victims who are in watching this, all the victims obviously, and then the people who are there in the courtroom just trying to keep it together for this absolute just clown up here spouting off about any damn thing.
I know it's probably not proper, but you guys deserve a round of applause if you could get one.
Well, aim damn in. I honestly thought he was going to start clapping, in his dramatic fashion or whatever. Shocked that he didn't. Now again, as we know at this point, the opening and closing statement, they didn't do him no good. They didn't do him any good at all. which is good because he does not belong on the streets whatsoever, ever again. Now, if you want to see another one of my videos where I break down some of his totally cringe-worthy case and trial, then be sure to click the video that's popping up right now.